some people that I obviously might have overlooked, but I'll start with one, the 1811 slave revolt in St. Charles Parish. For those of you who read about that one, the revolt was stopped, and to deter any future revolts, they made an example of the slaves that revolted, and they cut off their heads and put their heads on pikes and put them in front of that plantation down there. So that's the kind of white supremacy that they want. The first black governor, PBS Pinchback, I'm sure some of you know Madam C.J. Walker, the first black female millionaire from Louisiana. Of course, Louis Armstrong. Here's a funny note. You probably saw the news last week, a couple of weeks ago, that, and the irony of this is so incredible, that Governor Edwards pardoned Homer Plessy. Homer Plessy, as you know, is the brother from New Orleans who filed a lawsuit, Plessy versus Ferguson, for integration when they wouldn't let him ride on the train because they didn't like the fact he was a black man with money, and you know, what else is new? So, Ernest J. Gaines, a great writer, another personal poet favorite of mine, Arna Bontemps. He has a museum in Alexandria, but he originally was from DeRidder. Okay. Clifton Chenier, Mahalia Jackson, the Baton Rouge bus boycott. I'm going to pivot back to that in a minute, but there's another group, and I highlight them because they made a movie about them in 2003, the Deacons for Defense. These brothers in Bogalusa, they was founded in Jonesboro in 1964, but the first chapter was founded in Bogalusa February 21st, 1965, which happens to be the same day Malcolm X was assassinated. And anything you know about their story, these brothers were some bad brothers. They literally had shootouts with the Klan and made sure that they wasn't going to do what they did to some other people who decided, you know, that they weren't going to either defend themselves or were too afraid. Here's another interesting, little-known Black History fact, and I didn't know until I heard her say it. Our mayor, President Sharon Weston Broome, she happened to be a student of Miss Mamie Till Mobley in Chicago. So you see, we're never too far removed from our history, and the fact that we have this legacy we must continue to protect and reflect. Back to the Baton Rouge bus boycott, I know a lot of you know, and my father-in-law used to tell me about how they did when it was happening. Reverend Jemison, you already know, but just to mention it, was the advisor and mentor to Dr. King to tell him how to conduct the one in Montgomery. So we're never too far removed. There is a woman that I want to tell you about, but first, I know some of you have been, but I want to see. How many of you have been to Chicago? Okay. How many of you live in Chicago? Okay. I love it. I love it. How many of you have ever been to the DeSalvo Museum in Chicago? Okay. All right. All right. How many of you have ever been to St. Rose, Louisiana? Uh-oh. 2? Anybody else? 3? Okay. Excuse me?
Not St. Rose no more, it's Marksville.
No, St. Rose, Louisiana. But anyway, I rode by St. Rose, me and my honey, you know, right on the Airline Highway. But I'm going to tell you about a woman that I had the great privilege to know and to be a part of something that she was involved in. the woman who co-founded the DeSable Museum, Dr. Margaret Taylor Burroughs. She was born in St. Rose in November 1st, 1915, and she passed November 21st, 2010, at the age, as you can compute, of 95. Her husband, Charles, second husband, Charles, was, and I know you know something about we being all over the world, but anyway, he was raised in Russia, and this man spoke fluent Russian. How I got a chance to meet him is I met their adopted son when I was on the L train, and I was carrying a little bag of laundry, and I was carrying it in such a way that this brother stopped me and said, "Man, do you practice martial arts?" I said, "Oh yeah, I do." So then I told him, "But I also do this, that, and other." So he said, "Oh, well, my adopted parents have this museum on Michigan Avenue, on 38th and Michigan, and you need to stop by." And okay, so at that time, the DeSable Museum was in their home on 38th and Michigan Avenue. Your brother Lowe knows, but in eventual years, it now has a very beautiful building in the park there. And Brother Lowe, you got to help me because Washington Park. Yeah, Washington Park there. And for those of you who have been to it and know about it, it is the quintessential first museum of African American history in the country. And to tell you a little bit about Ms. Burroughs, her husband also was a poet. And he and the husband of Gwendolyn Brooks, Mr. Henry Blakely, and some other poets were the ones who helped shape my writing. These were some bad men. These men were accomplished men. They were academics. They were people who really cared about people. And if you were to see some of the things that was in their home, I mean, they just had African stuff. Literally, just a walkthrough of their home was just the greatest education you could ever get. So I'm thankful for that experience. So anyway, she organized the Southside Community Arts Center. She was also a lady who was involved in education. She taught at DeSable High School on Chicago's South Side from 1946 to 1969. And from 1969 to 79, she was Professor of Humanities at Kennedy King College, a community college in Chicago. She also taught African American art and culture at Elmhurst College in 1968. She was named Chicago Park District Commissioner by Mayor Harold Watson in 1985, a position she held until the time she passed. She was just an incredible woman. She was just, as we like to say, she was down. She just had so many things going on. But anyway, as a poet, and I first heard about her poetry before I ever met her, she published a number of highly regarded collections, including For Malcolm, Poems on the Life and Death of Malcolm X in 1967 with Dudley Randall. Other collections include What Shall I Tell My Children Who Are Black and Africa, My Africa. The other part of this is, and lastly I will end with her. Burroughs received numerous honors and awards for her contributions to art and culture, including a Presidential Humanitarian Award from Gerald Ford, a Paul Robeson Citation Award, and the Legends and Legacy Award from the Art Institute of Chicago. President Jimmy Carter appointed her a member of the National Commission on African American History and Culture. And as I just read, then Mayor Harold Washington he named February 1st, 1986, Dr. Margaret Burroughs Day in Chicago. She was inducted to Chicago's Hall of Fame in 1989, and after her death in 2010, President Barack Obama spoke of Burroughs' contributions to American culture as an esteemed artist, historian, educator, and mentor. But there's also something that I She also was, in 1941, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt came to Chicago and appointed her to a position that I'm trying to, here you go, at the Southside Community Arts Center. And it was dedicated by, as I just said, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. There is a poem that she wrote in 1963, What Shall I Tell My Children Who Are Black? Reflections of an African-American Mother. So we always remain with the theme of family. And when I finish the last two stanzas of this poem, I have a special treat for you because Dr. Burroughs would have wanted you to do what the song is going to tell you. Anyway, the last two stanzas are, I will lift up their heads in proud blackness with the stories of their fathers and their fathers' fathers. And I shall take them into a way back time of kings and queens who ruled the Nile and measured the stars and discovered the laws of mathematics, upon whose backs have been built the wealth of continents. I will tell them this and more, and this heritage shall be his weapon, and his armor will make him strong enough to win any battle he may face. And since the story is often obscured, I must sacrifice to find it for my children, even as I sacrifice to feed, clothe, and shelter them. So this I will do for them if I love them. None will do it for me. I must find the truth of heritage for myself and pass it on to them. In years to come, I believe, because I have armed them with the truth, my children and my children's children will venerate me. For it is the truth that will make us free. Amen. Thank you, Dr. Burroughs. Now, I want to bring my honey to the stage, and she's going to sing something for you that Dr. Burroughs would want you to hear.